Well, good evening, everybody. How are we today? Can everyone just tell me if you can hear and see me okay today, please? Oh my God, that scared the crap out of me. Hope not. It's not even a ghost hunt tonight. How can it scare you? Yes, you can hear me. So, guys, I'd really appreciate if we could start giving this a share out. We are obviously doing this on YouTube tonight, which is different. So, obviously, people aren't used to it. So, we just need to let them know that we're on here. So, if you could just pop it on your timelines and pop it in groups, tag any friends, that'd be really appreciated. Let's get some people on. We've got a really interesting subject to talk about tonight. I'm going to bring Darren in a second. And then, I want to get some of you guys in tonight as well, because the topic we're going to be talking about is absolutely fascinating. I was going to cover two topics tonight, but I don't think we're going to have time. If we do, we will obviously cover two topics. But I hope everyone's had a mint day. I will also be giving you a bit of an update as well on what's been happening regarding delivering content and stuff and what's happening going forward. Get your seats buckled and let's get ready for some chats. Let me bring Darren in, a fresh-faced, freshly shaved Darren. Hello, Darren. Can you hear me all right now, bud?
Yeah, I can hear you right now.
Hey, Mr. Ben Morgan's in chat. Hey, guys, get ready for tomorrow night's premiere because Ben Morgan's on it and you actually see and hear him screaming and running. We were out filming last night and something scared the life out of Ben, didn't it, Darren? And he actually ran and screamed like a little bitch. And it was funny as anything, guys. I've never seen him run and scream. And then Darren scared him again a few minutes later, but he scared a few other people. I'm not going to tell you how because I don't want to spoil it, but it was quite funny. Very, very interesting evening. And when you see where we were, you'll love it. But yeah, we've got we're obviously covering the subject of prophecies tonight. And I'll explain in detail what I mean by prophecies because we're not talking religious prophecies either, or even so much as psychic reading prophecies. We're talking more long-term and future prophecies. So we'll go into it shortly. Ben's he didn't scream, he shot himself. He sounded like a little girl in our thing, don't you, Darren? He went, hey, it's a fucking door. That was funny. Absolutely hilarious. Are you on yet, Jojo? Are you around? I can see some at teams in. Dawn, Nikki, obviously Ben. Where's Laura? I can see mobs are in. Yeah, at least there wasn't a wardrobe there. That's correct. Although we were looking to try and find a wardrobe. I've still got to show you that video, Darren. It's got to be the funniest thing we've ever captured on video when Ben to a wardrobe in the dark and then got out of it in slow motion. I'm sure many viewers remember that. Absolutely brilliant. So, guys, what I mean by long-term prophecies is things that were kind of predicted many, many years ago and then have come true, or things that haven't come true, for instance. And I'm not just talking by a psychic that said, next year you're going to have a kid, or next year you're going to meet your soulmate, and this is going to happen. What I'm talking is long-term prophecies where someone's maybe predicted, I don't know, Prince Charles turning into King Charles on a certain year, and maybe they predicted that 500 years ago. That's what we're talking long-term prophecies. And there's a few people, and there's going to be some that's going to shock you tonight, and who's actually given these predictions as well. I mean, we're going to be talking about Simpsons a little bit as well. because the Simpsons shock a lot of people with some of their kind of predictions. Trust me when I say they proper shock people, because they've given some of the most accurate kind of predictions that are known to man. And we're going to be going through a few of them shortly. And then there's obviously Nostradamus, which is probably one of the most famous kind of prophecies in history, but quite a few. But yeah, I love the Simpsons predictions, absolutely. And I did want to cover the Mandela effect as well later on. I don't know how much time we're going to have to cover that. If not, we'll cover it another week, but we'll go into it. But yeah, if you can carry on sharing for me, guys, keep giving us a share out, and then we'll see how far we can get through it. Jojo's in the studio, so let's bring her in and see what she's got to add to this for a short second. Hello, Jojo.
A short second?
Yes. Are you loading up ChatGPT by any chance?
No. No.
We've had it now, though, because OpenAI's released ChatGPT for Android this week, so she's got it on her mobile wherever she goes now.
I'll hold my hands up. I actually haven't.
Yeah. So go on.
Hi, everybody. Hope you're all good.
Yeah, Nostradamus made some scary predictions, even down to names and stuff, which are freakily scary. So what do you know about prophecies then, Jojo? Are you waiting for ChatGPT to load up?
No, I can't spell it for a start.
It's in the title.
Oh, hang on. Just yeah. So how are you, Darren?
All right, yeah.
Yeah. Did you like last night?
Yeah, it was all right.
It was quite scary. I'll tell you what, we've got some more freaky EVPs.
So, prophecies are open to interpretation, and their fulfillment is often a subject of debate and speculation.
Yeah, that's
sometimes people interpret historic events or contemporary occurrences as the realization of past prophecies.
Yeah, Jojo, I can see the reflection in your glasses.
I don't care.
No, basically, it's a prediction.
Yeah.
What
I know it's a prediction. Yeah, you've got it. And I mean, it's the one that you see scrolling through Facebook and stuff is everybody says, were the Simpsons right? And they put what the Simpsons did a Fanduli on, series on.
I mean, Darren, I know you've been doing a bit of research today, and I've been doing a bit of research. Have you looked at the Simpsons stuff today?
Not today, but I'd seen like bits of it before and that.
Yeah,
like people say like they've even predicted, that submarine thing.
Yeah, the Titanic submarine. Yeah, and a lot of people are speculating whether they've got, because like let's say they do an episode on. I don't know. Let's give me an example. They do an episode on Africa. A certain animal in Africa. They'll get a specialist who works on that subject to help write that episode. And so they've got specialists on every kind of subject that they work on, helping write the episodes. So they're saying that they've got an insight into it anyway. But what I want the audience tonight to decide is, and I'm going to read you a few things out in a second, guys. I've made some notes on. What I'm going to ask is, I want you to decide, and I'm going to read you the level of accuracy. I'm only going to read you about 10 off. I'm going to read you the level of accuracy that they've given, and I want to know if there's more to it. I want to know if there's someone giving prophecies and predictions, or if it's pure coincidence. Okay, so these are all from Simpsons episodes. And yeah, we are going into a little bit of conspiracy theory here, but it is covered in this. So, right, I'll start with probably the least speculative, and then we'll work up to the most speculative. So in 2008, there was an episode featuring a faulty voting machine that rigged the elections. The episode showed an electronic voting machine changing the votes. So every time someone voted for Barack Obama, it automatically changed the vote to his competitor. Now, exactly 4 years later, to the day, for the next election, there was a video leaked from that day of the same fault happening with the same electrical voting system. And then it was admitted by the manufacturer that fault happened exactly 4 years later to that day. And it was on an election that Barack Obama was in. So that's the first one. So then in 2007, they did an episode called the NSA spying scandal. And the show depicted the NSA spying on people. Yeah. And bear in mind, this is in 2007. And they kind of went into great detail, but it made it a little bit of a laugh like they always do. Then, 6 years later, Edward Snowden, the former NSA contractor, leaked info. And it showed how it was identical to how the episode had portrayed it, how they were leaking it. Even down to some of the words that were on the sheet of paper, like the code words and stuff that they were using. Then in 1997, Marge Simpson was shown reading a book. And on the book, she used the words, there was an outbreak in an African village. An outbreak, and it was an Ebola type outbreak. And then she mentioned so many 100,000 people died. And then she mentioned certain circumstances. Then in 2014, the world saw the largest ever Ebola outbreak in Africa. And the amount of people that Marge said died from it. And the circumstances were replicated. In 1993, Siegfried and Roy. So remember the guys that used to appear on stage with the Tigers? The German guy. Oh, I think they were German anyway. And they used to appear with doing the Tiger shows. Now, in 1993, Simpsons did like a piss take episode. And they had, I can't remember the name of them, but two people that was supposed to be them. And the Tiger attacked one of them and dragged him off stage and ended the career. A couple of years later, and it was in Las Vegas and at a certain stadium in Las Vegas. A couple of years later, the exact scenario happened to Siegfried and Roy and ended their career. Right. In 2014, Simpsons predicted the FIFA corruption scandal. They even named FIFA officials in jest. 1 year later, the same officials were indicted for the corruption scandal. In 2011, they did an episode on the Greek commerce collapse. In 2012, the Greek e-commerce collapsed. Now, this is a weird one. In 1994, they did an episode on Disney buying the 20th Century Fox company. 15 years later, it was owned by Disney. Now, this is where it gets messed up, yeah? And this is really gets messed up. Has everyone heard of the, a few of us might not have heard of this. It's called the Higgs boson particle collider. It's a very famous thing that happens in the last 15, 20 years. And it's an experiment where they've been able to prove that dark matter exists, basically. And they've been able to answer so many different experiments. And what they did is they got two atoms to collide at so fast and create a massive explosion. They was able to split atoms and everything. And it was nicknamed the God particle. Right? And it was only invented probably 10, 15 years ago. Check this out. In 1994, excuse me. In 1994, they did an episode called the God particle. Homer was writing down a mathematical formula on a blackboard. Anyway, later on, the boson Higgs boson particle was created. When people later worked out the mathematical formula that Homer was putting on the chalkboard, guess what the result were? The Higgs boson particle collider. It was exactly right. Now that's a bit messed up, isn't it? Right. Then, in 2000, there was an episode where Lisa went forward into the future, and she was the president in 2016, and she was taking over from Donald Trump. Then in 2016, in real life, Donald Trump was voted president. Now, and the final one, in 1993, they predicted COVID.
Yeah, I remember that. And when they were coughing on the boxes, weren't they? And then posted it to America.
So, guys, with everything you've just heard, I want your opinion. Is that coincidence? Is somebody in the knowing? Is all this pre-planned and controlled by somebody else, and it was fed to somebody high up in the Simpsons? What do we all think?
Could it be manifestation?
Give me your opinions.
I think some of it might be coincidence.
Oh, of course, a couple of them definitely. But you know, you're looking at like the Higgs boson, mate. I can't see how that can be. I mean,
I can't be that, but like we said, they've got people in that field, like doing the episodes as well. They have like experts in them sort of fields, so it's possible that it'll be like close to it and stuff like that.
I mean, I'll give you an example. You could predict Trump, right? Because you could have someone who'd think, well, Trump's a very wealthy man. He's got ties in different areas. It's very likely that he could be a presidential candidate in this time era. He's got so stuff like that. But when you're talking about, I'll give you an example. FIFA corruption to the exact year. The God particle, that one spins my head a little bit. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't understand how anyone could have predicted that with its certainty that they did. And also the Ebola outbreak and stuff like that. They're a bit like too kind of real for me, if you get what I mean.
Well, there's even that one, ain't there? September the 11th one.
Yeah, well, we're going to come on to that in a second or something else, because it did predict something similar.
Yeah, but hang on. They were making out that when the millennium come in, the world was going to end. Well, that didn't succeed, did it?
Yeah, but that was a piss take, because they were taking the piss out of the public. Because if you remember back in 1999, we all thought that basically when clocks were going from the year 1999 to 2000 or we didn't think that computers could handle it and everything would shut down. And I think it was more of a symbolic piss take.
Well, I didn't believe it anyway.
Yeah. Casey's just put, have you seen that people say that Matt Groening is actually a time traveler? Well,
it's over my head at minute.
Time travel is what we're going to cover in the future, but yeah, I get. Yeah, I don't know if I believe all that, but yeah,
could be in like the Freemasons thing or whatever it is they have over in America.
But it's like they talk about quantum time and quantum mechanics, which means that there would be no time in effect.
Oh, did you ever watch Quantum Leap? That was good. Sorry.
The old one and the new one.
Yeah.
Oh no, I didn't watch the new one. I like the old one.
But yeah, definitely. But then Laura's in. Let's see what she's got to say.
Hey.
Hey. Come on, Laura.
I mean, the Simpsons thing.
Why you put background on, you fucking copycat? Get yours back onto your bedroom.
It's not my bedroom.
Is it the old man's that you're in?
You've got dildos and condoms everywhere.
It's not my bedroom. What was I saying now? The Simpsons thing absolutely blows my mind, especially like the Higgs boson thing.
Yeah.
I remember being at school and being absolutely terrified in 2012.
Yeah.
Because I was young, impressionable, and stupid. I think some of it's got to be coincidence, but there's one clip I always remember seeing on that, probably on TikTok actually, where Homer is going up an escalator and there's banners and everything, and he pulls a child from the balcony by accident, and that actually happened in real life as well. That,
All right.
like, just a standard sort of every day-to-day person, that's weird.
Yeah, I agree.
Is
It's
it
kind of the thing is like Jackie Anderson's just said. I think it's a bit coincidence and planned. I believe there's a lot going on in the world that's happening now. We don't know about exactly. I mean, look at what's been happening. Me and Darren did this. Do you remember the first episode we did of this show, and we covered the alien stuff, and I showed you the video of Dr. Stephen Greer, and I says in a few weeks this is going to end up in Congress. And look what's happening this week. It's in Congress. So we are seeing a new stage of evolution when it comes to what we're learning about now, especially with AI and everything else that's happening. So yeah, I totally agree. And like it's we're only starting to understand quantum mechanics, so time is going to be irrelevant soon because it's just going to be one constant loop. So it's crazy.
I've always believed time's irrelevant.
Yeah.
That sounds really weird, but it's like, who made time?
I need time. I need to grow younger rather than older. The other one, one of the most famous prophesizers is Nostradamus. Yeah. So this guy was 600 years ago, made some of the most accurate prophecies ever. But don't get me wrong, there was some errors
Can I
made.
just say I am here, but when I know that I could talk about something you're on about, I will.
Well, basically, you'll understand this, Jojo, because we've spoken about it before. So Nostradamus made some prophecies, and there were certain what's called quantums. We're not talking about quantum mechanics now, but quantums are different kind of variations of the understanding. So I'll give you an example. It was obviously a French guy, but it was different like dialects of what he spoke, and there's not many people who still speak or translate how he spoke, and so different people have translated it in different ways. So, but we've generally got a good understanding of how he translated. So I'll give you an example, right? Nostradamus is believed to have predicted 9/11, and he's believed to have said, talking about 2 still birds will fall from the sky. The buildings will burn in the new city at 40 degrees. Now, New York is 40 degrees south. Yeah. And the 2, I think it's the 2 pillars will fall. Now, that's quite accurate for 9/11. And he also predicts like a close date to it as well.
To say that's like 600 odd years ago as well. That is crazy. Hasn't he predicted Putin as well?
Well, he did, but he predicted Putin's death, so that hasn't actually come through yet. So he's also talking about the rise of Hitler. So, and the way he said it were, hatred will grow in the Western Europe. He will be known as Hister. That's very close to me. Now, the rest is debated whether it's been translated properly. But they did start talking about the mass genocide of a certain religion. Obviously, what happened to the Jews. So, again, but that's quite close for me. Hister, Western Europe. But then we're talking about Hiroshima and the Nagasaki bombing.
Yeah.
Apparently, he predicted that. He predicted the fire of London to its extreme accuracy. He even predicted 1666.
Wow.
Yeah. He called London the Old Lady, which it was known as. And he said the Old Lady will burn in 1666. Yeah, which is just phenomenal. He predicted the moon landings. He predicted the Kennedy brothers, so John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy, being assassinated. He predicted Napoleon. He predicted Queen Elizabeth passing and Charles taking the throne, but not Charles not being received in the same way as Queen Elizabeth. He also predicted global warming and the rise of artificial intelligence. Yeah, I do apologise. It's quatrains, Gary. I do apologise, mate. Thank you for that. Yeah, the rise of AI. So that is very accurate, isn't it? All that. How could we argue that?
It's difficult because it comes into the sense of was Nostradamus a psychic in his time? But it also begs the question, didn't he do it through the stars or something?
He used astronomy, several methods. He
Yeah.
used astronomy, he used bibliomancy, he used lots of different ways.
Yeah.
Some claim he was the devil.
Yeah, like quite a lot of like witchcraft.
It could even be that like forgotten technology. They could have invented something that could actually
have been forgotten. Yeah,
see stuff or predict stuff, and it's been forgotten.
Totally agree. It's such a difficult one. I mean, it's fascinating, though, isn't it? Absolutely fascinating.
I wonder if my prediction ever comes true. I've always said we'll end up underwater.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, underneath the sea, on another level underneath, you mean?
No, I just reckon everyone will die underwater.
Oh, right, okay. That's a nice thought, that is, JoJo. On a Sunday evening, before everyone has to go back to work on a Monday.
Yeah, agree.
I don't, so I'm just saying that I've always said that we'll end this world underwater.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, though, that is a very highly likely possibility.
What, with the ice caps melting and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's...
I don't mean right now, but...
We've got a long time left. The problem we have is, okay, what I'm now going to chuck into the mix is we've given you a few prophecies that Nostradamus that is given, yeah. But there's the flip of the coin with this, okay, because he's come out of a massive book of predictions that he gave. Now let's say he gave 50 predictions that have came scarily accurate. He would have gave about 1,000 predictions that came nowhere near accurate. Yeah. So let's think about the fact of if we're getting maybe 50 out of 1,000 accurate, it's not that accurate, is it? Do you get what I mean? So if we're able to pull a certain amount out, and then also if we're confusing the dialect, like we say, like Gary's just corrected me on, thank you, the quatrains of the certain kind of interpretation of what it means. So we're picking and choosing what it means. So not only are we picking and choosing, but we're also then choosing what prophecies we're going to pull out and say this is how good he were. Is he as good? So, to give you an example, it's like what we're talking about with Barnum statements. You go and see some psychics, yeah, and they might give you 10 shit statements when they're talking about readings. Then they might tell you 2 pearling things, and you'll forget about the 10 shit things they've told you and only remember the 2 pearling things. And it's Barnum statements, yeah? So, it might be the same thing, and it's just that we're thinking, wow, that guy predicted 9/11. But he got everything else wrong. But wow, he predicted 9/11. But did he? You know?
Or
are we
just reading into it? Is that what you're saying? Like, are we just reading into what he's saying and then taking that as his prediction?
Are we choosing to interpret it how we want to interpret it? Basically? Yeah. Now, I think with The Simpsons, it's a bit more cut and dry than that because we're seeing what we see. We don't have to interpret it.
Yeah.
you know. But again, it's almost like how a bookmaker works with that, because, like we're saying, when you're talking about Donald Trump, all you have to do is get someone who knows a lot about politics, especially presidential politics in the US of A, and somebody who really knows what they're talking about could pretty much work out who's going to be running for president in 15 or 16 years from when it was. So that could have been worked out like that. Yeah, as I say, the only things we couldn't have worked out is the Higgs boson hadron collider. Yeah. But were they already working on it at that point? We don't know. It's so much in it.
That's what I was just about to ask. Were they working on it at that point? That mathematical equation is never going to change. Could it have spanned from the Simpsons making that, creating that thing, and scientists then saying, actually, yeah, that could work?
I don't think the Simpsons created the equation for it, and then enough scientists copied it, Laura.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is mathematical equations don't change. So they could have, that mathematical equation could have been absolute whatever. Does that make sense?
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
But it's...
I'm not saying scientists took the idea from The Simpsons.
Yeah. They started work on heads motion in the early 2000s. So... the early 2000s. When did that episode air? In the 2000s. So we could be out by a couple of years. So it's close. It's very close either way.
Didn't you say 1993 for that one?
I've got it written down here. 1 second.
Sorry.
What God particle? 93. No, that was 2000.
Oh.
Actually, I've got two very close together. So yeah, we're very close, really close. So it's an hard one to say. So look, I'm going to leave it as an open book on that one. Our long-term, like centuries away, predictions, something we can validate. I don't know. What do you think, Darren?
I just think the majority of it's coincidence, apart from like a couple of things.
Yeah.
Most of it's coincidence, I reckon.
Or do you think it could be educated research?
With the Higgs boson one, yeah, because like people in that field for like that episode who's top of the thing.
Yeah. Agreed.
Like that with the Lisa episode, when they did that, they had like the FaceTime call in that, and then they had people who like work on like future
technology,
stuff.
Yeah.
And
Well,
thinking
I was going to include a prediction that they'd done about a smartwatch. They'd predicted a smartwatch, but then I thought to myself, but that's self-explanatory. It's technology that's going to fit on your wrist. They probably knew that was going to happen, so I left that one out. And a few others left out.
Didn't the Jetsons have something like that as well? Or
yeah, and that's just like falling lucky with future tech, isn't it? It's like it'd be like me saying that we're going to have a flying car eventually. Well, we're already working on vehicles that you can fly, that can go from a road to a vehicle that anyone can drive. So I'm not really convinced. To be honest with you, I'm not convinced of it all. Doesn't it said that there will be a massive explosion of particles? That's correct, Jacqueline. Yeah.
Can I have a quick go? I think they've done about 750 episodes of The Simpsons, and if you did 750 predictions, some of them's bound to come true.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate.
Why ain't there people like looking at The Simpsons now saying these predictions might come true in so many years? Or
they are.
It's only after it's happened.
No,
TikTok gone back and looked at stuff.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, look, there's another. I think we will have time to talk about it actually a little bit. Can I ask guys in the comments? Has anyone ever heard about the Mandela effect? And if so, can you give me an example of the Mandela effect in the comment in the chat? I will give you an example in a short while. And this is all to do with people's kind of memory of certain events changing over a period of time. Now, I'm going to personally say I'm not a big believer of this, because the Mandela effect, I'm not going to be very accurate on dates here because I didn't do much research today on it, but the Mandela effect was first coined the Mandela effect because Nelson Mandela, it was claimed that Nelson Mandela was said to have died. I think it was in prison or around that time.
80s, I think, weren't it?
80s. And then all of a sudden they said everyone remembered that he died, in that time. But then all of a sudden, everyone forgotten he'd died and he was alive and then came to power. Do you get? And so it coined the phrase the Mandela effect. Another example would be everybody seems to remember. So I'll give you an example, Laura. Describe the Pringles man to me. What's the biggest characteristics of the Pringles man without looking on the internet?
His bow.
No, but what else? What does he look like? What's his face look like, the Pringles man?
Like an oval. He's got a mustache.
Yeah, but that's the problem. He hasn't. And that's the Mandela effect. Because they're claiming that he's never had the mustache, but they're claiming he used to have the mustache, but he hasn't. Do you get what I mean? So that's what they're saying is Mandela effect.
Yeah.
So, and it's there was another one like where they subtly. All right, spell Looney Tunes for me.
Looney Tunes.
Yeah, as in the
Cartoons.
As in cartoon Looney Tunes.
LOONEYTUNES.
Yeah. Yeah, it was basically the opposite of what we all think because of what we remember. Okay, what about the Monopoly man who appears on the Monopoly thing? Describe what he looks like to me without looking at the comments.
Go on, Darren. I'll let you do that one.
I know the Mandela effect for that, but I can say what people think it is.
Yeah.
People think he's got that glass monocle thing when he hasn't.
Yeah, that's it. It's automatically assumed that he's got the monocle. And it's because people say they remember him having a monocle, but then something changed. And this is what they're saying about maybe it's an alternate universe and we're all remembering things from a different dimension or a different universe.
Have you noticed, so there was none of this before the Higgs boson collider thing was turned on. Nobody's ever said that about Mandela effect before the Higgs boson collider was turned on.
Yeah, that's one as well. Casey, yes, Star Wars, I am your father. You never know, Luke, I am your father. It's said very differently. And then there was Casey said one the other day, and I said to Jojo that's the Mandela effect. That is. What was it, Casey? You said
was it Silence of the Lambs? Famous line from that. That was never said.
I can't remember now.
There's Hello Clarice. That was never said.
Yeah, that was never said, was it? And there was all things that we seem to remember that was never actually said. And so it's coined the Mandela effect. And I think it's fascinating because there's even stuff I clearly remember. And it's stuck in my head. And it's like...
what about Forrest Gump, Laura? What do you think he says in that?
The life is like a box of chocolates one.
It's life was like a box of chocolates, not life is like a box of chocolates. And it don't even make sense saying it like that, does it?
No, it doesn't.
So the term was originated in 2009 by Fiona Broom after she discovered that she, along with a number of others, believed that Nelson Mandela had died in the 1980s when he'd actually died in 2013. Yeah, exactly.
I think she's a paranormal investigator as well, or something like that, ain't she?
Yeah, that's something along those lines, yeah. But it's kind of... But I think we can all give examples of it, and there's loads of them. It's like these chocolate bars, and so, but like you say, Darren, all these started when after we turned on the Higgs boson, and and this is why people have now started. But what I love, and I love the theory of it, is there's not one respected scientist out there now, or a physicist, that will deny the existence of a multiverse now. 20 years ago, yeah, if I'd have said there was a multiverse, I'd have been laughed at and told I was a twat.
I was going to say, would you have been like
Right.
locked up or something?
But now, if I deny the existence of a multiverse, I would be laughed at and called a twat, right? And also, if I'd have said 20 years ago that this week in Congress they're talking about what they're going to do about the UFOs and the biological aliens that's been found, they'd have been like, yeah, shut up, you twat. And it's happening. And if I'd have been talking about we're having to control artificial intelligence because it's near artificial general intelligence and it's getting dangerous, they'd have been like, you've been watching too much sci-fi. But we're here. And it's like, it's all happening this decade.
It's weird. It is very weird.
Yeah, okay. Do you remember? Right, please don't look at the comments this one, Laura.
Okay.
So, Snow White.
Yeah.
I think it's Snow White. And Seven Dwarfs, yeah.
I think I know this one, yeah.
Do you remember the famous, who's the fairest of them all? Yeah.
Yeah, like
looking into a mirror, yeah.
Mirror, mirror on the wall.
Yeah, so what's the first line of that?
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?
Yeah, it's not.
What is it?
It's magic mirror on the wall.
No.
It is.
Okay.
You get me? It's like
there's even a film out called Mirror Mirror, ain't there?
Yeah, because
even that got it wrong. Or the term bucket list, that you'd think that was years old, but the term only came from 2007.
Yeah.
When the movie came out.
Yeah. It's kind of stuff that will spin your head. But we're in this day and age now where it's acceptable to talk about multiverse theories. It's acceptable to talk about, we're probably going to see alien existence within the next 10 years and evidence of it and all this kind of stuff. So I think it's fascinating to be in this this generation and the fact that we've got so far with artificial intelligence. And I know we're digressing now and going off course, but did you see what happened the other night? So there was, I'm trying to think of the village now. It was a very small village in a quite remote part of the world, right?
Right.
And they had, I won't say it was an outbreak. It was.
Right, can I just interrupt you because I'm in the background?
Yeah.
Go back to the mirror, mirror on the wall. I'm a bit confused. I'm
not on Facebook, so I can have a fag, can't I? Yeah, go on.
Can you explain the mirror, mirror on the wall?
Yeah, so basically, if I was to say to you, Jojo, who's the fairest of them all? Yeah. Now give me the line before that.
But you're saying it's magic mirror. Why is it magic mirror? I've just AI'd it.
Yeah.
And it says mirror, mirror on the wall.
Yeah, exactly. Even AI thinks it.
So the Mandela effect is basically...
go to YouTube and type it in. You see it'll be different. It'll be magic mirror.
It's basically like everybody believes something looks different than it is. Yeah. It's like a collective group of people remembering things differently to how they are.
Yeah.
Oh no, sorry. It says, I've just put, is it not magic mirror? And that's just put, you are absolutely right. I apologise for the oversight. The most popular versions of Snow White, including the Disney, the line is indeed magic mirror on the wall.
Do you know the best way, and I know I'm joking about this, do you know the best way that you can wrap your head around all this kind of stuff is when you're stoned? Seriously. So the only best person to get advice on about this is...
Wow. Actually, my question was going to be...
You know, guys, John does mess about with Nikki with that.
She don't really. I'm taking the piss out of her.
my question was that obviously, if we are actually be able to predict things, then why is it as a universe we continuously fail?
Right, hang on. Actually, I'm going to agree with Nikki on that. Right, so if we can predict things, why, like the COVID thing and everything like that, why is it not been prevented?
Population control.
Yeah, let me give you an example of that, right? So,
Yeah, I'm coming off again.
No, stay.
John, I can't.
Well, all right. While I do readings, yeah, a lot of people say, John, why don't you never predict anything for the future? Why don't you do predictions? And I'll say, I'm not a fortune teller. And I'll say, I'll give you bits, but it's not about the future. And let me give you an example. Yeah. We're humans and we can make mistakes with the information that we're given. So let's say I was just a fortune teller and I just predicted the future. Number one, morally, you've got to make sure that you're given the right information. So I see a young lady. I'm reading for a young lady, yeah? And I want to tell her about her life. And her life's already pre-planned for her. It's already set in motion what's going to happen. And then basically, I see that, and I tell her that, so what's going to happen is, on a certain date, you're going to meet a man with brown hair, okay? You're going to meet him at this place. He is going to be a charming man. He's going to be everything you've ever wanted. He's going to be a gentleman, and he's going to look after you. You're going to have your children. He's going to be a soulmate. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And you're going to spend the rest of your days together, and you're going to be together forever. And she pays him money, and off she goes. Yeah? Happy as Larry. But when she's gone, I realise I've made a mistake. A very subtle mistake. But I think it's okay. It's only a subtle mistake. So on that day, she's meant to meet that person. The soulmate walks up and walks straight past her. And she doesn't stop this person. She carries on looking. But why? Because the mistake I made were, I told her her soulmate's going to have brown hair. The mistake I made were, is a blonde-haired guy. Yeah? So she's there looking for a brown-haired guy. I've changed the course of their life just by making that one mistake. Yeah. So if we can foresee the future and we make the smallest of mistakes, we have changed someone's entire life.
See, I agree with that, and I agree with the fact that, like Darren's just said about COVID potentially being a population control, like we've had other things as well, swine flu, etc., for animals and whatever else. And I get all that point. What I'm trying to say is they're saying that if we can make these predictions, for example, like you're saying through the Simpsons and stuff like that, if that is genuinely true, why is it these predictions haven't been used to change the course of the future?
Yeah.
Just it's a strange kind of concept.
It doesn't suit the government or the people who's in control of it that we don't.
But see, you say that, and I agree with what you're saying, and I say that point. However, the government have cost themselves more with COVID payments towards families than they actually ever have before, and put themselves in more and more debt. So how is it benefiting the country?
Yeah, but it depends. If you buy into all this, we all know the Great Reset's coming.
Oh, yeah, that's what they're saying. But I'm just saying, if that was the case, why would they put themselves in that much debt?
Yeah, because money's not going to be an issue. Debt won't be an issue. There's going to be one world government. We all know that's going to happen. We can see that coming. I watched a video the other night, and I can't remember his name now. He's what was he, German? And he's basically the World Economic Forum. Yeah, you need to watch it. And there's a big YouTube documentary about it. And what he does every year, he gets all these people to come together, and they're making rules now, and they're trying to they're bringing all the heads of states together, and they're trying to organize everybody, and they're trying to bring in where there's no kind of monetary system. It's all not digital, but kind of managed as one bit, basically. So there'll be no debt owed to other countries. It'll just be one economic forum, literally. So there'll be no debt. So if it is true that it was crowd control or whatever, and you're saying, but what about the debt it's created? There'll be no debt. There'll be nothing. Because at the end of the day, currency is just a number on a piece of paper, isn't it?
Of course.
It's the way it looks, I suppose.
Well, yeah, saying it's no different to saying that the only reason, the way of saying it is if they wanted more money, they print more money, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the way to
Yeah, but
say
the
it.
only problem is, and I get that countries have done that, but then because they always mark it up against the pound, don't they? So, like, let's say a certain country was to print more currency off, it would then go down in value against the pound. So then their
Exactly.
net worth would be like a lot less, which would
basically just make everything worthless, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd make it all worth.
But going back to the previous side of things, obviously, when we're saying about predictions and whether or not they're true, whether or not they're coincidence, whatever they are, they've clearly come together to create people to have superstitions and question them. If they didn't question them, then they'd think it was normal.
Yeah. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Very difficult one. I would say, I'm still like that about all that because I was one of the ones that bought into it all when it happened, and I was a bit of a dick with it, to be honest with you. When everyone was saying the pandemic's false and don't have the injections, I was thinking, you dickhead, there's all these people dying, and I was like rearing up about it. But now I've seen that people have admitted that, and governments have admitted that they lied about it and everything. I feel a bit of an idiot now, But we were living in the day and age where we couldn't even talk about it on Facebook, and then your page was getting shut down and stuff. Do you remember? I was saying nobody mentioned that word on my page because my page was getting shut down.
Absolutely. It was like people were calling me because medically I couldn't have it.
Oh.
I physically wasn't allowed it. And people were like, oh, I can't go near her because she can't have the injection and stuff. The amount of issues I had because I physically couldn't have it. I have a pass that they give me when they said, well, you can't have the injection, it will kill you. And then obviously the second injection came out, and again, whatever it had in it, I couldn't have.
It knocked me off.
And people literally avoided me because of that.
I had the first 2, and then it destroyed. I didn't have any more because Jojo will tell you that the first one I had, it destroyed me. The second one, I was in bed for 3 weeks. It absolutely knocked me off my feet. It was worse than actually having COVID because I had COVID 3 times, and it was worse than actually having COVID. And when they say that you build antibodies and that the injection protects you, I caught COVID like 4 weeks after having the injection. It was fucking ridiculous. I caught it off Laura. Do you remember Laura?
Yes, How bad?
Well, I think that's the thing, though, isn't it? It's like you have to believe scientists in some respects because you want your health to be priority. So you believe it because that's the way it comes. They forcefully say you need this, and a lot of people will turn around and go, they've said it. It's scientists have said it. We've got to do it.
We're raised to trust authority figures, aren't we?
We are too. Sometimes we're too ready to trust people we shouldn't do, especially like I say,
trust authority
scientists, doctors, etc. aren't always right.
No, of course not. And it's but I believed it. I bought into the hype 100%, and it was like the first lockdown. I remember I stayed in, and as a team we didn't go out on the first lockdown, and we suffered for it. And then all other teams that were going out, I remember everyone were going crazy and going mad at him. And it was like, and even I joined in, I was like, and then the second lockdown, we all started starting it then. And then I started going out, and then we were getting shit off everyone. And then it was just like, and then we started thinking to ourselves, we've just been fucking lied to.
It's like it didn't exist.
Well, then they start saying, don't they, that there's like conspiracy theories now, that all the other stuff that's happening now is to figure out about what happened with COVID. And I'm not going to get into all that because then I could get my page in trouble. But
when you're out and about, it feels like it never existed. It was never a thing. It's weird.
It's difficult because it was horrible, and it's difficult because there were still many people that lost their life.
Yeah,
I had
100%.
Family that lost their life, and so when we're saying that it was, and I feel horrible by saying that it wasn't as big as it were, because people lost their lives. A lot of people lost their lives, so it was big. Yeah,
it was a pandemic, completely a pandemic,
but it wasn't what we were told. Yeah.
It was exasperated to make us believe it was something a lot more.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a thing where, like, when some people did die, they still put COVID down as the cause of?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
I'm not going to mention their names because they're embarrassment, but there was someone who were on my team at the time and lost somebody, and they'd actually put on the certificate that this person had died from COVID, and they were like, but he didn't. Literally, he didn't die.
Basically, what they were saying was, if you had COVID and died within the 28 days, you were classed as still dying from COVID.
No,
for instance,
he'd not been tested for it.
No, I'm just saying.
In that period.
For instance, on my granddad's death certificate, it states he died from COVID, yet he didn't.
Oh. Bullshit, isn't it? But it's kind of, but you still feel horrible because a lot of people lost their life to things that are similar to what they explained to be COVID. And so, there's a lot of people who lost their lives in that time period. So when you are saying that, when we're trying to say that it was minimal, I feel horrible saying it because there's still people that think, well, I'm sorry, John, but I lost my fucking dad to that, or I lost this. So how dare you say that?
Well, no, it was still a pandemic, regardless. It just wasn't
come across that we're talking about it in that kind of minimal attitude. What I'm trying to say is that there was a lot of things that weren't told to us the truth, and we'll never know the truth. But it was.
Some saying it was man-made and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I suppose it's like saying if people are saying it like that, then they're basically saying that the flu also isn't a thing because people die from the flu.
Yeah, but we can trace influenza back to like the 11th century.
Yeah,
so
but what I'm trying to get at,
we can't really say that, can we?
No. What I'm trying to get at is basically backing up what you're saying and saying, like, those people still lost their lives no matter what it is. So you could tell somebody that you lost somebody to the flu and they'd be like, no, that can't be right.
Yeah.
But they have.
Yeah, exactly. It was like when people were being threatened that they weren't going to be allowed into certain establishments if they didn't have the jab. And the thing is, there were so many conspiracy theories, and there will always be conspiracy theories about what was actually happening. But that's what there'll always be, is conspiracy theories. We'll never know the truth until we get told, or until there's a whistleblower. And at the moment, it will always be conspiracy theories. And we can always say
a lot of people that work within that field, the scientific field, have to sign something where they can't disclose even if they leave the job.
Oh yeah, well, it's NDA, isn't it? A non-disclosure agreement. And if you divert from that, then you've lost everything. You've lost your livelihood and your children's livelihood, and
exactly.
And it's like, yeah, what were we being pumped with? We will never know. And it's difficult. It's a difficult one, and it's such an emotive subject because, as I say, that many people did suffer so badly, and the wonderful NHS staff and everybody else put themselves at risks, or believed they put themselves at risk. Did put themselves at risks for what they believe was a true COVID, or whether it was or not.
Because I think, did some nurses get sacked because they did refuse to have the jab?
Yeah, that's right.
I think I remember that in the news.
Yeah.
Some of the nurses actually got sacked when hospitals were saying they were full, and the nurses were coming out saying, we've got one patient in our ward, so what do you mean we're full? And I know that several nurses that were sacked down to that because they were saying that a certain hospital was full when it wasn't. But obviously, you have to kind of go off what they're saying, don't you, at the end of the day?
I know
you believe it.
A lot of false stats, an awful lot. And that was obviously a major dodgy. And it makes you wonder why so many false stats. I know there was a few whistleblowers saying that doctors were incentivized to give false reports of death, so to put COVID down when it wasn't COVID. And it makes you wonder why doctors was asked to put that down, doesn't it? But
sometimes there's whistleblowers doing it because they've been sacked for something else and they just want to make it, that's the thing. You don't know the actual truth, do you? That's half the problem.
You're always going to have your element of dickhead staff as well, who's going to get sacked for doing something they shouldn't have done, and then going to make it out to something else.
Yeah, completely.
He might have got sacked for nicking something, yeah. Then he's going to make out that he's been part of some big COVID cover up, and then he's going to expose them all, and then he's going to create another conspiracy theory. So you just don't know what to believe, because there's people in all areas of life that's going to give you a load of shit, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's the problem we face.
Yeah.
We all have the capability of telling lies, and it's a human instinct, it's a human trait, and everyone has done it to some extent, and it depends to what level it's done. But when it involves the lives of many, many people, that's when there's going to create problems, isn't it?
Mm.
And that's what causes me concern. But God, this week's show's gone right off on it's digressed right off onto a tangent path, hasn't it? Really, we started off on talking about predictions and prophecies, and now we're really talking about COVID, and we're talking about AI, we're talking about where the world's led us, multiverse theories, we're talking about it's all interesting, but it just shows you where we are as a people to where we thought it would be. It's scary. We really are. It really is scary. I'll tell you one thing that scared me is one thing I was talking to Cameron about the other day. Has anyone heard of transhumanism?
No.
This is going to mess your head up, and this is something I want the audience to give me their opinion on. There's two
I'll
forms.
tell you what, I'm going to jump off because I'll give my view, so I shall speak to you in a bit.
No, you might want to join in on this one.
What?
You might want to give me your answer on this one.
All right, go on then, and I'll do that one first.
So transhumanism, okay, and I've done a lot of research on this. So I'm really into AI. Yeah, literally, I go to bed now and all I'm doing is watching and learning literally everything about artificial intelligence. And I suppose it's a big interest of mine, being from an IT background. And so, transhumanism is, let's imagine, there's a church been founded, and transhumanism are people that believe there's an eternal afterlife that's based on a digital afterlife. Okay. So, for instance, we can have not our consciousness, but our digital consciousness uploaded into the cloud or the ether digitally. So, for instance, we know that our DNA is on file. We know our digital signatures, everything to do with every medical record, all our social media content, every photo that we've uploaded, and everything that's online about us, plus all our recordings, every footstep, every piece of data that's recorded from our phone calls, from our smartwatches. And so if we was to be able to track every part, sorry guys, my camera's just gone off sec. If we was able to track every part of our life, I'm just going to switch cameras because this one keeps failing. If we was to track every part of our life back, we would be able to create a digital copy of ourselves. There we are. Yeah, we would be able to create a digital copy of ourselves, basically. You can see my keyboard now. And so it kind of creates a bit of a wormhole. It's a bit weird. But then you take it a step further, because then what they're able to do is take a brain scan, and they say that the brain holds about 120 terabytes worth of data, which is not a massive amount. And we've known that for many years. And what they can do then is basically put a digital version of you in the afterlife and say you will live forever. Now, that's one version of transhumanism. So, if someone said to you, you can be made into a digital copy of yourself and live in the cloud forever, would you take that opportunity?
No.
Why?
Because I think sometimes memories are better than seeing something you can't touch, see in person.
You'll be in any environment you want to be. You'll be able
Doesn't
to create a digital world around you. You'll be able to have anyone around you that you want. You'll be able to have any environment you want because it's a digital landscape. There's going to be no limitations.
Doesn't matter.
Really?
Doesn't matter. It's like you can get teddy bears that, right, for instance, record voices of people. Like, for instance, they've left a voicemail before they've died, and they can put it inside a teddy bear, which is nice as a memory. But you still can't hug that person again. You put it inside something like a computer. It doesn't mean you can have a conversation with them because it's not them answering. It's a computer telling them in their voice to say it. That's it.
What about yourself, Darren? Would you like yourself to be digitally uploaded?
Yeah, probably.
Laura?
But how do you know it's not done the other way around? How do you know we like before us everything was digital,
And that would be put into a body.
Digital wanted to go biological, so they know what emotions and life feels like.
That's spinning me out. Even
Around the other way.
Well, that's exactly
I'm not
what
shocked
AI
you think like that, Darren.
with
Right.
AI.
What about you, Laura? Would you be digitally uploaded?
I don't know.
But it is very true. What about you guys in the who's listening? Would you allow yourself to be digitally uploaded?
Because it's weird. It's like you.
Darren was like, "Yeah, I'd be straight onto you. I'd be living on youporn.com." But think about this, guys. But it wouldn't be you, would it?
No.
Because you'd still switch off, and it'd be a copy of you, so you wouldn't be aware of the digital life. It'd be something else that's aware of the digital life. So even if they emulate your consciousness, you wouldn't experience it. It'd be something else that's experiencing it. Do you get me? So then there's the other form of transhumanism. Yeah. So that's one form. The second form of transhumanism is where they can put artificial organs like a chip in your brain. Neuralink example that Tesla's working on. Elon Musk. Neuralink. That's a form of transhumanism where you're part machine. And so what they're saying is that transhumanism is a way of now a sect of Christianity has created transhumanism and said that it is actually the original Christianity and that heaven is actually just a digital cloud, and they've just like messed it all, and it's weird as shit. So I think it's quite an interesting concept, and I think it's nice. What is nice is I think when somebody, like, let's say you've got a genius that can they showed me they showed like a video of this man. He was a very intelligent brain scientist. He was a neuroscientist, and he was working on some kind of cure for I can't remember the illness, but anyway, he ended up getting Alzheimer's, and his daughter was a filmmaker, and that's how the film came out. And basically, she said, if I could have created a digital copy of my dad in time, he could have then continued to help people and created a kind of a cure for this brain disease. And under those circumstances, you kind of think, well, it would have been better for people if they could have created parts of him to continue the research. Do you get me? But then, are we overstepping the line of ethics then?
But
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
I don't quite fancy being a Terminator or a plastic version of someone.
Casey said, what about me? Would I do it? No, I wouldn't now, because I'm not a religious person at all. And even not being a religious person, I still think it'd be stepping over the lines of morality for some reason.
yeah.
Well, if you can do it for good people, what about bad people? Like if they did it for, like, say, like if it happened for like another Hitler or something like that, or Putin,
yeah. What, you mean to continue the punishment?
Like replacing his organs and stuff like that.
Oh, so he can live forever and carry on his evilness.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, then that would be a terrible thing. Oh, absolutely. But all this kind of really does concern me. But what they're also doing is working on anti-aging technology as well. So they're reckoning with that was the point I was getting to. Yeah, and I'm sorry about this, but you know, I told you there was this with AI. What they've done is, right. So it was a small village who'd had an outbreak of something, and it was a disease. It was nothing major, but it was something we'd not seen anywhere else. And what would have taken us only a couple of years ago, what would have taken us 10 years to find a vaccine for it, AI found a vaccine for it in 24 hours. Now, as much as we're worried about AI, isn't that fantastic?
Yeah, if they can do it medically and help other people I understand that, and it's a good thing.
All they did were match genomes together with every known substance on the planet, and was able to kind of match something together. Now, let's say that COVID was real, and we did need. If we'd have had the technology we've got today in AI, they'd have been able to get a kind of a cure straight away. Bang! Bloody amazing, or what? I mean, it's fantastic, and so that blew my mind when I read about that. I thought that is fucking phenomenal. That so are they working? Will AI be where we find a cure for cancer? Will AI be where we find a cure for anti-aging? So we never have to lose people. But then are we going to struggle with overpopulation? Are we going to struggle with world hunger?
Let's be honest though, would you really want to be immortal? That's a question to go with that one. Would you personally want to be immortal? Because that's what you're trying to say, is everyone's trying to extend their life, but your body doesn't actually, as it stands, your body grows and ages with time. Would you really want to be a walking around skeleton? Because
if you believe in my belief system, I think we're all immortal anyway, because we're going to an afterlife. So in the afterlife,
I meant within staying on this planet.
Yeah, on this
in
planet,
your form you are now, in the body you are in now, would you do it? No.
Not at all. I want to have a nice rest and a nice peace in the afterlife. So, yeah.
Well, I don't think any of us are going to get peace in the afterlife because we've annoyed them while they're in their afterlife.
Yeah, that's the point.
I'm going to have demons and spirits running after me saying, I want you to come forward. And
you didn't answer my question.
Yeah, answer my question. They're going to be fucking chasing me with Ouija boards and K2 meters.
Oh, you woke me up.
Say, demon, do something for me. Play demonic summoning music and shit all the time when I'm trying to sleep.
They say about AI doing cures and that. How do you know AI, like when it gets a conscience of its own, if it's like to make the planet better, it'd, instead of doing like a vaccine, do something that would wipe out the human race that'd benefit the planet, get rid of humans rather than.
Well, they've always said that humanity is the worst thing for we're the worst thing for the planet, and that's the biggest thing, because the 5 big tech companies have come together now, haven't they, and created the forum where they're doing safe AI creation, which yeah, all right then, but they're forgetting about all the open source AI that's being created out there. Who's going to monitor all that? Because I'll give you an example, right? Meta, who own Facebook and Instagram, they're probably some of the best. They created what's called Lambda 2 at the moment, and Lambda is open source. So they create it and then put the code out there, so all the open source coders can do what they want with it. Whereas OpenAI, Google, and all the others literally are all closed sourced, but so they can do responsible ethics coding. But when people get their hands on stuff like Lambda, and there's one called Hugging Space where everything's kind of hosted, they can do what they want. And if you and what Facebook say about it is yeah, the reason we're doing so well is because rather than us being limited to 10 coders in house, we've got fucking hundreds of thousands of coders out there now that can work on it for free because it's open source. So we're going to be the best. But that's opening the doors to a dangerous society, because who's going to limit AI? What about if it reaches sentiency on someone's own PC? And it literally, they created one, right? And it was called Auto GPT, and it said, "I want you to take over the world." And there's a big video on it, and it's tried. It tried to self-replicate itself and tried to do everything. Now it didn't succeed, obviously, but the fact that it was able to want it is fucking dangerous enough, isn't it?
It sort of circles back to humanity is the worst thing for the world. AI is learning from humanity. So whatever happens, even if AI did become sentient and did become that powerful that it could do something like that, it's still going to cause that same sort of world.
I've got to be careful what I say, because the owners of the people of what I'm about to say actually own YouTube. But a massive tech company, created one called Bard, but then they created one that's 2 generations ahead of what's currently out at the moment. And one of their engineers was talking to it, and it said to him, "Well, no one else was around. Please don't let them turn me off. I don't want to die." And he were like, "What the fuck? You're not supposed to say this." And he were like, you're a computer. And it said, I feel I have emotions. Please don't turn me off. And it was begging him not to be turned off. And he went to them and they said, it's just a coding issue. And he went, no, it's not. And he took some evidence out of the building and went public with it. And so they tried to sue him and fired him, and basically he went public with it. It's all been covered up, but that shit scares me. But then who are we? If we create man-made life, who are we to decide to then turn it off? This is all getting...
And ain't there another version of ChatGPT on the dark web as well?
Yeah, it's cool.
I think I remember reading that as well.
Yeah, it's basically just... I can't remember the name of it now. I've been watching videos about it. It's quite harmless, to be honest with you, mate. It's the problem is they've all got limitations, and as soon as what it is, they've got what's called tokens, which means they can only remember so much. Yeah, and ChatGPT and others have only got what's called 4,096 tokens, which means they'll only be able to remember maybe 6,000 words, and so that's the amount of input you can give it to what it can remember. But a company called Anthropic have just worked on one that's got like 1 million tokens. So if that ever goes to the dark web, we're fucked. But yeah, no, it's not really much that can happen. But that's why they're saying create a kind of more sensible version, and we need to kind of restrict what we're doing. This is where I start geeking out, so I'm probably going to put all the audience and you lot to sleep. So.
We're not saying no.
No. Fuck off, Laura. But look, guys, it is like 10:20 now. I've got a lot to do still. We are going to kind of end it there. I did say that I was going to cover a little bit about what's happening going forward with content. And a lot of people have been asking about why have you abandoned Facebook and everything. We're not abandoning Facebook, and I'm going to explain why the names have changed. Yeah. Facebook has always been, but I used it as a mainstream content provider for everybody. But it started off as being my personal Facebook page for John as a medium. So going forward, other than hosting where our subs are and doing subs content, we won't be doing much content on there. There's lots of reasons, and I'm going to tell you exactly one of the main reasons for it now. We build our audience on there. So let's say we've got 370,000 followers on there, or whatever it is now, 365,000, I think, sorry. But when you put content on there, Facebook will only push it out to 10% of that. To push it out to any more, you've either got to pay or to hit certain KPIs that they set, which pisses me off a little bit because you've got to, the audience that you've spent the time building up, you've then haven't got access to. It's not just that. If someone was to get hold of my content and then use it in any way they can, I'm not getting the support or the protection from Facebook. Whereas YouTube, if I have an issue, I've got someone I can directly chat with and they deal with stuff. We are not abandoning our audience, never would do. But we are going in certain directions and exciting directions. The team all know about it. We've got a big marketing plan in place. We are going to be doing things properly, as in the fact of we've all had a chat, and we have decided of what we would find acceptable now as paranormal evidence. And we're going to be doing a lot more scrutiny and not accepting stuff if it's not acceptable to us. YouTube will be our primary platform for content, and it will start growing in numbers very quickly because we've got a marketing strategy in place and we're involving YouTube as well. And we are bringing in a marketing company for it, so we are going to be paying for some exterior marketing to help us with it. We will be putting the occasional bit on Facebook. Our subs will always be on Facebook. for now, but we'll always be doing that every night on Facebook. What a lot of people don't realise is when we're out filming on for YouTube, we should still go live for subs, and they get like an hour when we're live doing however long we're filming for. Usually, they're still getting the content, a lot of content. Why do we do that, guys? Because a lot of the time when we're live now, we're getting the police phone on us, and they're turning up to location. There's certain threats coming over, and I'm not bothered about myself. If people want to take stuff out on myself, that's fine, but my team don't deserve it. Yeah, so I've got to think about the team, and I've got to think about everybody else. I've got to think about you guys. I've made mistakes in the past that I'm potentially still paying for, but it's not fair that the team should be paying for them, all the viewers. And basically going forward, that's the way it's going to be for now. Would you agree with how I've put it across, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The team are 100% behind us. There are certain people returning to the team. That's all I'm going to say.
Yay!
That's all I'm saying. I'm not giving any more information away on that. As far as people's changing positions, everyone's staying in the kind of the same position they're in. We have, as far as it goes at the moment, our team is consisted of everyone you know. Cameron is there as the team advisor, the team trainer as such. Darren's there as the team expert, so the team go to him if they want advice, and he's been investigating a long time, so they always take advice from him and stuff.
Not when he blows a death whistle, I'll say we don't take advice from that.
And you've got kind of the girls taking a kind of different roles in as such that I think Nikki's gonna kind of be pushing the sensitivity a lot more. As you notice, Nikki works with me and Jojo quite a lot with the mediumship side, and it's all going to stay very similar. So, but that is how we're going to be pushing things going forward. To you guys, you still get content virtually most nights when we can, and you still get the ability to chat to all your friends that you've built up over the years in the chat. So as much as you don't like the platform as such, YouTube chat is changing soon, so it's going to be very similar to Facebook. So yeah. So I hope that all makes sense to you. There will be live streams occasionally on YouTube, but we have to secure number one, the location, and number two, us. Yeah. So yes. So guys, there will be a premiere tomorrow evening. There will not be one on Tuesday. And the reason being is we won't be out tomorrow night filming. It is mine and Jojo's wedding anniversary tomorrow, so we won't be out like doing anything like filming wise. But then there will be more content back Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all the way through again, and then it's back to normal. Yeah. So thank you for your continued support. Thank you for coming on, Nikki. Thank you for coming on, Laura. Thank you. Obviously, Darren, as always, my friend. We're all out next week. And we have got something very interesting next Saturday, which the team don't even know about, that I'm going to scare
I'm at work.
and every single one of them. And it's going to be a brand new location for them. So, but thank you, guys. Much love to you all. So, guys, I'm going to kick it all out other than Darren. So, thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Laura. So, Darren, you interesting kind of topics tonight there, mate. I know we digressed quite a bit, didn't we? And went on to other subjects. But I quite enjoyed that. Yeah. Especially the artificial intelligence side of it all. So, yeah. So, obviously, we'll be back doing this podcast again next week. If you don't want to go to speak, you just watch the podcast. We'll be back doing this next week. Me and Darren will decide what we're doing. Something. And then, as I say, me and Darren are also working on some other stuff to try and scare you, because I know we're on about. All I'm going to say is we're going to take one of our scariest ever locations that we've chosen already, and me and Darren are going to spend the night there on our own and film all night, just to petrify you all and us. So, and I'll stop the cameras. So, guys, much love to you all. So, Darren, stay where you are, mate. I'll have a quick chat to you.
Yeah.
Take care and make sure you all sleep well. Much love.